speaker. We have Alex Bielovich. I used to work with Alex. I used to work with Alex at Native, and he's a great guy. You'll find out why now. But Alex,
Hello. Okay. Hello. So, my name is Alex. My surname is Croatian, and I am a motion designer. But I wasn't always a motion designer. I like doing a lot of different things, which is why I enjoy doing passion projects. So I've done quite a few over the years. For me, it's always been a great way to develop my skills, build out gaps in my portfolio, and sometimes just have fun. And this was a series that I called Arcadia, which was sort of Sin City inspired with arcade machine graphics. This is another series, 36 Days of Type, which was a daily challenge where you illustrate the entire alphabet, plus numbers 0 through 9. And this was 100 days of user interface, which is a daily prompt that you receive via email. So that prompt could be as simple as calculator or sign up page, and then it's up to you to interpret that. Some of which are animated at the time. This was a shorter series that I did. It's more future inspired as opposed to the Arcadia stuff. Something a bit different. I started a food market stall a couple of years ago called Clever Caveman. So I did the branding, the marketing, did the menu, made the food, sold the food, which was quite fun. This is an example to show that not every project goes to plan. This was my second attempt at the 36 days challenge, and yeah, I got up to letter L, and we'll just leave it at that. So today, the project that I did complete last year is called 10-second spots. When I set myself a passion project, I like to break it down to these 4 criteria. So if we go back to the 36 days example, the objective for me was to develop my illustration skills, as well as challenge myself, because I've never done a daily challenge like this before. Format's pretty simple, it's just square illustrations in a grid. Quantity is 36, and then the time frame, 36 days. So last year when it came to setting myself a new project, I asked myself these same 4 questions. And what I eventually came up with was, my objective was to build my motion and art direction skills. The format that I decided on was 10-second long commercials. I decided to do 9 commercials, so a nice 3x3 grid. And I decided to do it over 1 month. So it would be dubbed my month of motion. So we're talking about 1 video every 3 days or so, which I thought was quite a realistic deadline for myself. So part of a passion project like this is that it's basically a dream job. So hypothetically, you could work for any brand in the world. So I chose 9 brands that I'm personally passionate about. So we've got a lot of food and cooking related content. We've got clothing and fashion, sports and nutrition, podcasts, and software and technology. So the format, I'm going to focus on 3 of my favorite pieces from the series and then break them down piece by piece. And then I'll pepper in some tips along the way, as well as some thought starters that you can maybe use for yourself. So this was the commercial that I put together for Kindle, which is the Amazon digital reading device. So being familiar with these brands already, I still made a point of looking at how they market their products, so that what I put together would be consistent and more importantly, it'd be convincing. So it looks like an actual commercial. So a lot of lifestyle photography, a lot of light blue color scheme coming through. And then on the right, you'll see how it works when you highlight text. You get a little pop-up. And yeah, so having used the Kindle myself for many years, I'm like familiar with all that stuff. These are the assets that the video is comprised of. Got some royalty-free music, some stock photos, and then the Amazon device itself. Which brings me to the first tip, which is don't keep it to yourself. Which is to say that you should share it with everybody. That being Instagram, Dribble, Facebook, your neighborhood WhatsApp group. Just got to get your stuff out there. Usually when I start a project, the first post I'll declare what I'm doing, how long I'm doing it for, and then how many I'm doing. So it kind of holds me accountable. And you're also opening yourself up to feedback, which is good. Kind of motivates you to keep going. Second example I'd like to look at today is Podium, which is a sports nutrition brand based out of the States. It's a very aspirational brand. They sponsor athletes. So here we go. Hello? Okay, sorry. So if you know me, I've been known to do CrossFit. I probably like talking about it more than I actually like doing it. As you can see from my rank there, I take it pretty seriously. Podium's a brand that's very involved in the CrossFit space. They sponsor athletes, they involve people in their recipe development, all their different flavors. So I was quite familiar with them already. This is the brand, which was really nice to work with. This is bold typography, high contrast, which I think suits their brand quite well. Looking at the assets again, we've got the royalty-free music, the product shots, the logo, and then I spent quite a lot of time going through YouTube videos to just scrub and grab some clips. I also animated their logo, which was something that I did for a couple of the brands. And going back to my first tip about sharing your work, the Podium video was the first video that I shared from the series, and I tagged them in the post and they immediately reshared it on their story, which was a nice start to the project. Tip number 2 is that practice never makes perfect. So that example that I showed earlier where I failed the second attempt at the 36 days, I would say that the main reason that happened was I was obsessing too much over all the minute details, losing sight of the bigger picture. I think that's often what people might struggle with. I think if you set yourself a very strict deadline, then at the end of the day, you just have to post what you've done. You can't just keep, because nothing's ever really done. So something like the 36 days example was a great, sort of forces you just to accept what you've done and focus on the bigger picture. Which brings me to this quote: a typeface is a beautiful collection of letters, not a collection of beautiful letters. So it's about how it comes together cohesively as a whole project at the end of the day. So basically what I'm saying is zoom out and look at it from a wider perspective. And the third example, bringing it back home with a South African brand, YouCook, which is a meal kit delivery service. It's quite a high-end, they use chefs to curate their recipes, high quality ingredients, all that good stuff. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Just back up. Okay. I don't have enough hands. So on the left is my gourmet fish and chips. I like to cook. It's another creative outlet. And on the right hand side, you'll see that I've done my fair share of YouCook recipes. I started during lockdown, which I think a lot of people did. This is the brand, very moody photography, lots of bold white text, and I made use of those little thin white strokes and lines in their branding. Assets with the logo. You've got some very not royalty-free music. Some stock videos, and then I took one of my actual recipe cards and photographed it, and then I superimposed the dish from the stock video on top of that. Which brings me to tip number 3, which is that you've got to want to do it. You've got to find a project that makes your tail wag. You might say, I don't have enough time, I'm burnt out, I have too many responsibilities, but if you believe. I think that those challenges like the 36 days and of type and the 100 days of UI are like a really good way to start, because then you have your formats sort of set for you, like as a kind of a practice. And I'd like to go through just a few thought starters. Maybe if you'd like to take pictures, you're welcome to. In my case, the top left would be what I went for, which is doing it for a brand. But you could also do it for a cause or a social issue, some pro bono. Maybe you have a friend who started a business and then you didn't explain a video. Maybe you have a story about something that happened to you that you'd like to animate. If you're starting out in the industry, you might want to imitate some styles of people that you admire. I think it's something that I did quite a lot. I think as long as you credit them. You could dedicate it to somebody, which is another like motivation. Just picture how they're going to react when you give it to them. You could redo a past project that maybe you're not that happy about in your portfolio, and now you have more time, or you've developed that skill more to redo it. You could look to the past or future. You could pick words at random, or you could do online challenges, including the one on the Discord for this event, the monthly challenge. There's also an Instagram called Monday's Challenge, which is a motion and graphics daily challenge. You can recommend that. So this is how the entire project came together as a whole grid. I'm going to play through the videos now, after this. And yeah.
Figma is a platform where teams design together in real time without stepping on each other's toes. Time to design on your terms with Figma.
You saw the dude they replaced him with?
No.
Malone Brown? You heard this fool?
No.
Malone Brown dick in your mouth?
No! No!
Cool. Thank you very much.